Welcome you all for this uh, object-oriented analysis and design class. The previous class, or previous units, we have discussed about the object-oriented analysis. Basically, the object-oriented system development consisting of object-oriented analysis, object-oriented design, prototyping, component-based development, incremental testing. So it is an incremental process. Use case driven approach we have used. So in this case, use case is a central vehicle used for analysis stage, design stage, prototyping, and component-based development and incremental testing. During analysis, we needed to identify classes, methods, attributes, association, and other structure of data. We needed to identify it. In the design stage, we needed to design the document, design the classes, then design the attribute, association, and operations. So prototyping, we need to design a prototype based upon different prototype methods: horizontal prototyping, vertical prototyping, domain prototyping, throwaway prototypings are there. So using these prototypes, we need to design general outline of the particular system. Component-based development, which representing independent component can be implemented out of this. Finally, incremental testing, the use case driven object oriented system development, it is the incremental testing. Then background object oriented analysis, we need to identify classes based upon noun phrase approach, common class pattern approach, use case driven approach, then CRC, class responsibility and collaboration approach. These are all the approaches used to identify the classes. If any classes are redundant class, fuzzy classes, irrelevant classes, that can be removed. Only the candidate classes can be defined, can be identified at this stage. The second step, identify the attribute and the methods. So in this phase, we need to identify the relevant attributes, remove or ignore the irrelevant attributes, and we need to identify the methods. The third phase, identify the relationship between object based upon association, super subclass structure, aggregation, and a part of structure. The example what we have discussed in the previous unit, the case study is Vionet Bank. In this Vionet Bank, after doing so many iterations, we have identified 7 major classes, that is bank class, bank client class, account class, ATM machine class, transaction class, checking account and saving account classes are there. So here each class are in a unique representation. Each class have its own attribute and its own method. Here bank class is a generalized class. Under that we have a specialized class like account. Under that we have a checking account and saving account is a more specialized classes. So each class we have association with other class, and each class of object which is sending message to other object. The importance of object oriented programming is message passing. So here minimum amount of messages has to send from one object to other object. Based upon this background, the next stage is design phase. The goal of design phase is we need to design the classes, attribute, and the methods. So importantly, the design phase, we need to relate the model into real world physical domain. So importantly, a good design which simplifies the implementation and maintenance of the project. Basically, it using some design axioms. We have 2 axioms are there. Axiom means, so it is a proven principle, a proven method which used to apply over the classes, whether the classes is valid or not. So 2 axioms are there. One is the independent axiom, another one is the information axiom. So this is the overall structure of object-oriented design. This is the framework which is taken from unified approach. In the unified approach framework consisting of object-oriented analysis, object-oriented design, then component-based development, testing, then layered approach. Centrally, we have a unified repository. So in that unified modeling approach, the object-oriented design stage, what we have considered here. So in the object-oriented design phase, we need to, the goal of this process is we need to design classes, methods, attributes, and associated structure. For that, we need to apply design axioms to classes, methods, attributes, then design the access layer, design the view layer classes. Then we have to iterate the whole design. So it is a object-oriented one. Object-oriented software development, it is based upon use case-driven approach. So use case-driven approach is the iterative one. So use case is a which will become a test case. The elaborate view of object-oriented design process consisting of applying design axiom, that is the first one. Under that, we need to refine UML diagram to refine the attribute, design methods, refine association between classes. Then finally, we have to incorporate the inheritance with the between classes. Finally, iterate and design. The second stage of object-oriented design process, which will be you have to design the access layer, create mirror classes, then identify access layer and its class relationship. Redundant classes and method has to be identified and we have to simplify it. Then iterate and design. This is completely deals about the database access. Then the third one is a view layer. So view layer importantly deals about the user interface. Graphical user interface, what all the objects can be used, what all the objects can interact with the user. Particularly macro level interface and micro level interface, the relevant classes has to be identified and designed. So macro level interface, that is the outer view of the system. Micro level interfaces, that is the inner form or inner view of the system. Object-oriented design axioms, that is the first stage of design process. We need to apply object-oriented axioms to the classes, methods, and attributes. So two kind of axioms are supported by object-oriented design process. One is the independent axioms. So independent axiom maintain the independence of components. Second one is information axiom. So axiom is importantly it is a valid or it is a proven concept. We have to validate the particular axiom using example. The second axiom is information axiom. Information axiom mainly representing the information how it is passing between classes and object. Out of that, using these two axioms, 6 corollaries are defined. These corollaries importantly derived from axioms of corollary 1, which deals about uncoupled design with less information content, deals about the coupling, that is the interaction between components. Second corollary is single purpose. Each class which define the single purpose. The third one is large number of simple classes. Fourth one is a strong mapping between physical and logical data. Fifth one is standardization. A standard library can be used. We can use standard libraries which are, that is built-in libraries used in the programming languages. Sixth one is design with the inheritance, the coupling and cohesion with the super and subclass relationship. This is the overview of the corollaries and axioms, how they are built on these axioms. Importantly, axiom 1, independent axiom, that is the independent of class, a class which have defined purpose, it has its own simplicity, it will not serve multiple purpose, a defined purpose. Second one is information axiom, minimum amount of information to be passed between classes, passed between object. So 1, 2, 3 corollaries are importantly using information and independent axioms. The fourth, fifth, and sixth corollary, which he defined, strong mapping, standardization, and inheritance, which are represented. So first corollary is uncoupled design with less information content. So here coupling is a major factor which deals about interaction between object, how the interaction is happen between modules, that is between components. So interaction between components, lower is better. That is, a good software will have a lower coupling. Coupling is a binary relationship. If higher the interaction mean, more complex the system. See, in this scenario, we have object A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I are available. So all objects are connected with each other. If a particular object A has do any changes with the other object mean, it will provide a ripple effect. A particular changes which will be reflecting into other modules also. So this is the tightly coupled object. This kind of scenario we should not keep in our design process. Interaction coupling here, object-oriented design which is supported two kind of coupling. One is the interaction coupling and inheritance coupling. So interaction coupling which is supporting sixth kind of coupling. One is the content coupling, second is common coupling, control, stamp, and data coupling. So content coupling which involving direct reference to one object to other object. Changes in one object immediately it will reflect into other object. Okay, that is other component to component interaction. The changes which will be immediately takes place. A common coupling to object which is sharing the common data space. The degree of coupling which is high in this scenario. The third one is control coupling. In the control coupling, one object which control the other object, that is flow of execution. The degree of coupling is medium. The fourth one is stamp coupling, a complete data structure which is passed to other object. Other object can make use of a part of data structure for its own execution. The degree of coupling is low. The next one is data coupling. Data coupling, the same way before that stamp coupling. Part of our full data structure which will be passed to other object make use of that. So this is the data coupling. The degree of coupling is very low. So here the coupling in the sense a good software which require low coupling. Second kind of coupling supported by object-oriented design is inheritance coupling. So inheritance coupling which is representing super and subclass structure, how a generalized class which will provide the detail to the specialized class. For example, if you are taking a vehicle is a generalized class, under that car is the specialized class. The specialized class make use of the attribute and methods of the generalized or parent class. So high inheritance coupling is desired in this scenario because reusability is the one of the important characteristics of object-oriented design. The second important property of object-oriented design process is cohesion between components. So cohesion is importantly defined interaction within the single object or single component. So interaction within the single component normally basically it should be high. Okay, high interaction is required for high cohesion, and the lower coupling is need of this software development. In this cohesion, object-oriented design which support three kind of cohesion. One is the method cohesion, or it is called the functional cohesion. We already studied in the software engineering lecture. Then class cohesion, methods and attributes of a class are highly cohesive. Each class which will communicate each other class. Then inheritance cohesion. So inheritance cohesion which deals about the super class subclass relationship, how they are interrelated, and how the properties are shared. So class cohesion importantly within a class, how the attributes and methods are communicated and how they are interacted. Okay, that should be high. The second corollary is single purpose. So single purpose means a class must be defined for a unique purpose. It should not serve a dual role. For single purpose, for example, if you're taking a banking application, we have a banking client, that is a user. So banking client is one of the class. It should serve the client purpose. The second one is the transaction. If you're taking transaction, is a unique class. It will not serve dual role. And if you're taking a ATM, ATM is also one of the subset of bank class, so it is also have a unique. So each class must serve a unique purpose. The third corollary is large number of simple classes which used to achieve reusability. So reusability is the important factor in object-oriented design because which the benefit of reusability is reduced time. Then we have to flexible with the implementation. So reusability is one of the important important criteria in object-oriented design process. So level of reusability normally is 70 to 80%. So that can be fixed based upon the design policy. Whether 50% reusability or 70% reusability, we need to define. Now, why people are not promoting reusability means software engineering materials which promoting start the project from the initial level itself. So engineers, software engineers or professionals, they are not relying on the reusability. The fourth corollary is strong mapping. So strong mapping between the previous object-oriented analysis. So under analysis phase, we have identified the candidate classes and we need to map at the design stage. A strong link between analysis phase and design phase. In this scenario, for example, employee is defined. So employee class is identified at the analysis stage. But at the design stage, the class name employee is also there. We have list of attribute employee name, employee ID, designation, salary, all are defined. So it's a protocol type and data type of each attribute we have defined. Then fifth one is standardization. We need to use standard library which is available or which is supported by the programming languages. Importantly, for example, C++, Smalltalk, Java, these kind of programming languages which is supporting object-oriented concept. So we have to use the built-in libraries. We have to use already defined built-in classes, so that it is a standard practice or standardization of using the particular classes. The sixth corollary is designing with inheritance. So inheritance is an important property of object-oriented design. So we have to use superclass and a subclass relationship out of that. Normally, single inheritance is the best way to representing the object-oriented design. So why single inheritance is the parent class methods attributes can be used by the child class. If you are using the multiple inheritance means multiple parents are there, or multiple parents or multiple classes are available. We have derived the child class. So which method is interact with which other method? That is a complicated one. So we have to avoid the multiple inheritance. In this scenario, we have classes like motor vehicle. The derived class is private vehicle and commercial vehicle. These two classes are generalized class. It is a specialized class. The first one is motor vehicle is the generalized class. But if you want to add a restaurant as one of the class mean, how we can add it? We can use it as a single inheritance. Both motor vehicle and restaurant class which have a common criteria licensing. So government has to provide licensing for both of the product. So license is the generalized class. Under that, motor vehicle and restaurants are derived. So we have to make the design like this. Then what is the problem with inheritance? So problem with multiple inheritances, several ancestor classes are there. Which behavior is getting from which classes is a complex one. So it is very difficult to understand the problem. The solution is single inheritance. So what is the problem with the multiple inheritance? You see, in this scenario, the food track is one of the class. The food track which will be added with this system in future means how we can add the food track class in the existing scenario. In the first scenario, if you are using multiple inheritance, again which method or which attribute is used by food track from commercial vehicle or restaurant is not known. If you use single inheritance in the second scenario, we can connect the restaurant class with the food track. That is a part of relationship with the food track, so that we can maintain the flow, maintain the relationship. We can identify the classes also. Message passing is also very simple and easy. Object constraint language, OCL is the object constraint language used to define the constraint of attribute and the criteria. Importantly, we can use in the design process object constraint language for defining the constraint, that is conditions for a particular attribute. For example, we need to set a person age, means John age, equal to what is the age of the person. Then we need to representing a phone number of a person, mean item dot the respective selector we need to give and the condition we have to give. So item selector is one of the constraint. Item selector and qualifier value is the second constraint. Third constraint, we have to provide the expression. The expression is based upon Boolean expression. In this example, the company dot employee. Okay, this is the item selected. What the constraint has given is salary which is greater than 3,000, which will be selected, which will be selected from the particular object. So this is the representation we can use by the object constraint language in our design process. So we can use this OCL for defining attribute, type and values in this way. Process of designing classes, already told the process of designing classes. First, we have to apply the design axioms. The second step, we have to refine the UML classes attribute, method, associations, and we have to iterate and redefine again. So it is iterative process because the object-oriented programming is a traceable one. You can trace the requirement to the testing phase. So tracing the requirement to test we can perform. Another one important representation is class visibility. When we are designing a class, we have to define the visibility of the class and its members. So each class each class and its member function, we have to define the protocol. 3 protocols are supported by object-oriented design. Importantly, any object-oriented programming which provides a public protocol, private and protected protocol. So public protocol, whatever object you have defined, which is available to the other objects also. Other object can access it. Private protocol, it is a hidden. It is a whatever object or implementation are there in the private protocol, private object or private component, which cannot be accessed by other object. Protected protocol meaning is any subclass and the respective class object can access the particular behavior of the object. One of the important problem is encapsulation leakage. If you are not giving the proper visibility of the respective attribute, there is a encapsulation leakage which will occur. So in the interface, we have given some value. That value may be leak or may be available to others, also available to outside world. So there is a information leakage problem is occur if you fail to give the right protocol for a particular object and its members, classes and its members. A private protocol, whatever, see this scenario. In this scenario, we have private protocol objects are implemented and objects are implemented with its own data. The second, the protected protocol is the objects are accessed by the subclasses. Below is a subclass which can access the protected protocol, which accessing the object of the particular protected object. Then public protocol, the data object which can be accessed by the outside world. So it provide interface one, it provide access to other object also. So we have private and protected protocol layer is internal. So the above the internal layer, private and protected protocol is the internal layer, internal interactions. But the public protocol, whatever objects are defined in the public protocol as external communication. So refining attribute, important phase of software designing, design phases. We have list of attribute getting from the analysis phase. We need to refine it. So how to refine it? Whether the attributes serve the actual purpose, then each attribute we have to define the visibility, that is public, private or protected. Then each attribute we can set the data type, okay, whether string, integer or boolean, okay. So a kind of attribute values we can set. So three attributes are there. One is the single value attribute. Basically, single value attribute can be used or can be set in a normal object oriented design process. Multiplicity or multiple value of attributes also defined. Then the third attribute is reference to other object. That is the kind of object representation is also we can define. The next part is UML attribute presentation. The UML attribute, how the UML attribute can be defined. The class we already defined. The attribute, we have list of attribute like the visibility. The syntax is visibility name, then type, expression equal to initial value. This is the syntax for representing the attribute. So what are all the visibilities are available? We have public visibility, protected visibility, private visibility. If the attribute is public, means big. Protected as a symbol for representing the visibility. Then private visibility, we can use a hyphen as a symbol we can use. So it is a private member. So in this example, if you are taking Vianet bank system, first name, last name, PIN number, card number, these are all the data member of the bank client. Then it goes to the next stage. If you are defining the attribute, we have to set the visibility of each and every attribute. All attributes are set as protected visibility, and one more attribute is added because this account is one of the instance which is going to communicate with the transaction. The third level is the same, which will be transformed into a design stage. The class name, data member name, all data members are present, and its relevant data types are defined. So this is the complete representation of ViaNet bank system. So in this ViaNet bank system, 7 different classes are defined. Their attributes are defined, their visibilities are defined, their relationships are defined. Then how one class which is associated with other class, and one class how it is related with the other class are defined. So here, if you are taking, for example, account class and transaction, the association is account transaction association. The checking account and the saving account, that is the separate class which are inherited from the account class. So this is the attribute view, design of attribute view of a ViaNet bank system. Designing method, we have list of methods like constructor, destructor, conversion method, copy method, attribute to set, attribute to get the value, IO method, domain specific method. These kind of methods we can define in a class itself. So each class, whatever according to our requirement, we need to define these methods, that is the operation. So defining the operation, above set method as a constructor or destructor or operation name, which can be defined using the particular syntax. So visibility name, which will be public or protected or private. Public means the object, the operation which will be shared with the other object. Protected means within the class and subclasses can interact with the particular behavior. Private means within the particular class, the particular operation can interact. In this example, the ViaNet bank system, a bank client, we have a class name, we have attribute names, and their visibilities are defined, which will be come to the next stage. At the design stage, we have design bank client, list of attribute, and we have one of the method verify password. So verify password is one of the method is added here. It is the public operation which can be accessed from outside world. Other objects also access this verify password method. This is the complete view of our ViaNet bank system after designing classes, after designing attribute, after designing the methods, that is operation. This is the overview of the complete design. The key point of today's lecture is we have design and refine classes, attribute methods, structure association. We have to reuse the classes rather than design a new class. If required, we can reuse. If required, we can design the new class. Then design the class as a symbol and purpose. Okay. Then design the methods, review and iterate. So it is the iterative process starting from design classes to testing. This is the summary what we have discussed today. Object-oriented design process, which is starting from applying the design axiom with the classes, then applying corollaries with the classes, methods, and attributes. Then we have using object constraint language for defining the properties of data. Then process of designing classes, process of designing attribute, and process of designing operations. Thank you.